Gus the Menace. Gus was a furry, golden wrecking ball on 4 legs. Maya clung to the leash, her arms stretched taut, as he surged forward, sniffing at everything with manic enthusiasm. Gus. Heel, she commanded, her voice strained. He responded by accelerating, nearly yanking her off her feet. Her Converse skidded on the pavement. Easy, boy, she gasped, digging her heels in. It was no use. He was a golden retriever possessed, a furry missile aimed at something. She couldn't tell what had captured his attention this time. Probably another unfortunate leaf. They were halfway down Maple Street when the squirrel appeared. It darted across their path, a blur of gray fluff and twitching tail. Gus lost his mind. He launched forward with a joyous bark that vibrated in Maya's chest, nearly dislocating her shoulder in the process. She yelped, dropping her iced coffee, which splattered across the sidewalk in a sticky, sugary mess. The squirrel, predictably, made for the nearest tree. Gus, however, did not understand the nuances of arboreal navigation. He proceeded to try and climb the tree himself, his paws scrabbling at the bark, his tail wagging furiously. Maya, attached to him by the thin nylon leash, was being dragged along for the ride, her cheek pressed against the rough trunk. Gus, no. Down. Bad dog, she shrieked, her voice a mixture of exasperation and amusement. She could feel the burn in her biceps. She was going to need a serious ice pack later. From behind the meticulously pruned rose bushes in his front garden, Tom Baker watched the scene unfold. A chuckle rumbled in his chest. He'd seen this particular brand of canine chaos many times before, though usually from a safer distance. He remembered when his own golden retriever, Barnaby, was a puppy. A similar menace. He clipped a deadhead from a crimson rose, a small smile playing on his lips. Maya looked like she was about to explode, but there was a fondness in her eyes as she wrestled with the exuberant dog. Gus, finally realizing the futility of his vertical ambitions, abandoned the tree with a disappointed whine. He turned his attention to the discarded coffee cup, sniffing it tentatively. Maya, seizing the opportunity, yanked him away. No, Gus. That's garbage, she said, tugging him down the sidewalk. He responded by trying to lick her hand. Tom straightened up, resting his hands on the handle of his gardening trowel. He watched as Maya, flushed and slightly disheveled, struggled to maintain control of her 4-legged tornado. She caught his eye and offered a sheepish grin. Morning, Tom, she called out, her voice breathless. Gus is enthusiastic today. So I see, Tom replied, his voice warm with amusement. He seems to have a lot of energy to burn. You have no idea, Maya muttered, still trying to steer Gus away from a particularly interesting fire hydrant. I think he secretly runs a marathon while I'm asleep. Tom pushed open the gate to his garden. Perhaps he just needs a good run, he suggested. If you'd like, I could watch him in the yard later. Give you a bit of a break. Maya's face lit up. Really? Would you? That would be amazing. My pleasure, Tom said, his eyes twinkling. He'd be good company. He paused, then added, for both of us. Maya blushed, suddenly aware of how disheveled she must look. Great. I'll bring him by later then. She tugged on Gus's leash, practically dragging him down the street. Come on, Gus. Let's go terrorize some other neighborhood. Tom watched them go, a thoughtful expression on his face. The garden suddenly felt a little less lonely. An offer of help. The leash went taut, a painful burn against Maya's palm. Before she could shout a warning, Gus lunged. She yelped, thrown off balance and dragged headfirst into a thorny embrace. Patricia Jenkins' prize-winning rose bush clawed at her jeans, snagged in her hair. Petals, velvety and crimson, rained down around her. Gus, she gasped, more mortified than hurt. The dog, tail wagging furiously, was now attempting to bury himself in the fragrant mess. Good heavens! A voice, sharp and laced with disapproval, cut through the air. Patricia stood on her porch, arms crossed, her expression a tight knot of fury. "Are you all right, Maya?" A deeper, calmer voice called out. Tom Baker emerged from behind a riot of sunflowers in his own garden, a twinkle in his eye. He hopped over the low hedge separating their properties. "Just peachy," Maya mumbled, trying to detangle Gus's leash from a particularly vicious thorn. It snagged further, drawing a thin line of blood on her wrist. Tom chuckled, a warm, rumbling sound. "Let me give you a hand." He knelt beside her, his fingers nimble and surprisingly strong as he carefully worked the leather free. Gus, sensing the shift in focus, licked Tom's hand enthusiastically. "Thanks," Maya said, gingerly touching the scratches on her arms. They stung. Patricia's glare felt like another, more potent sting. "He's got a lot of energy, that one," Tom observed, scratching Gus behind the ears. The dog leaned into his touch, a picture of canine bliss. "Does he get much training?" Maya sighed. "I've tried. Puppy classes were chaotic. I mostly learned that I'm not very good at yelling commands." Tom smiled. "He seems bright. Just needs a little guidance. I've trained dogs for years, you know. Mostly retrievers, but the principles are the same." He paused, considering. "I'd be happy to give you a few pointers, if you'd like. No charge, of course. Consider it neighborly assistance." Maya hesitated. The scratches throbbed. Patricia was still watching, her lips pursed. Accepting Tom's help meant, what exactly? More time spent with him. More opportunities to make a fool of herself. "I wouldn't want to impose," she said, fiddling with the frayed end of Gus's leash. "No imposition at all. I enjoy it. And honestly, it'd be a shame to see Patricia's roses suffer any more collateral damage." He winked and Maya couldn't help but smile back. "Okay," she said, the word feeling lighter than she expected. "Okay, I'd really appreciate that." Patricia sniffed loudly from her porch. "Some people have no respect for property," she called out, loud enough for them both to hear. Tom ignored her. "How about tomorrow morning? Say 8 o'clock. We can start with some basic obedience." 8 o'clock sounds early, Maya said, suppressing a yawn. "Early bird gets the well-behaved dog," Tom countered, his eyes twinkling again. Maya laughed. Maybe 8 o'clock wouldn't be so bad. Especially if it meant spending time with Tom. "All right. 8 it is. Training days." "All right, Gus, watch," Tom said, snapping his fingers. Gus, predictably, just wagged his tail. "Sit," Tom commanded, then gently pressed down on Gus's rump. The golden retriever, confused but compliant, lowered himself. "Good boy," Tom praised, offering a treat. Gus devoured it. Maya watched, perched on the porch steps. "He only did it because you pushed him." Tom chuckled. "It's about association, Maya. He learns the word sit means this action gets him a reward. Repetition is key." He handed her a handful of treats. "Your turn." Maya knelt, feeling awkward. "Sit, Gus," she said, her voice wavering. Gus tilted his head, unimpressed. She tried again, firmer this time, gently guiding him down. He resisted, then relented, his tail still thumping against the grass. "Good boy?" she asked, unsure if she'd earned it. "Good boy," Tom affirmed, clapping her on the shoulder. "See? You're a natural." They worked on stay and come for the next hour, interspersed with Gus's playful distractions and Tom's patient corrections. Maya found herself relaxing, the tension she usually carried melting away with each successful command. Tom explained the nuances of canine behavior, his voice calm and reassuring. "You're really good at this," Maya said, genuinely impressed. "Were you always a dog person?" "Always," Tom replied, a hint of sadness in his eyes. "I was a vet, you know. Retired now." "Oh wow," Maya said, surprised. That's amazing. Why did you retire? He hesitated, looking out at Gus, who was now gnawing contentedly on a chew toy. Long story. Let's just say I saw too much heartbreak. Maya sensed the pain behind his words and didn't press. Instead, she shared stories about Gus's quirks, his obsession with squirrels, his fear of the vacuum cleaner, his uncanny ability to know when she was about to open a bag of chips. Tom listened intently, offering advice and occasionally sharing anecdotes from his veterinary days. Remember the time a Chihuahua came in, convinced he was a Great Dane. Started picking fights with dogs 10 times his size, Tom recounted, a smile playing on his lips. Maya laughed, picturing the scene. Gus thinks he's a lapdog, even though he's basically the size of a small pony. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the yard, they packed up the training supplies. Gus, exhausted but happy, lay panting at their feet. He's a smart dog, Tom said, ruffling Gus's fur. He just needs a little guidance, like his owner. He winked at Maya. Maya blushed, suddenly aware of how close they were standing. The air crackled with an unspoken energy. Thanks, Tom. I really appreciate your help. Anytime, Maya, he said, his eyes lingering on hers. We'll do this again tomorrow. Definitely, she replied, her heart skipping a beat. As she walked back to her house, with Gus trotting happily beside her, she couldn't shake the feeling that these training days were about more than just teaching Gus a few tricks. Unexpected feelings. The sky was a painter's dream, a flawless cerulean that coaxed a yearning from Maya's soul. Humming, a sound absent from her morning routine of late, she laced her sneakers, a lightness in her step replacing the usual leaden tread. Training day with Tom. A curious tremor stirred within her, far exceeding any excitement about reinforcing Buster's commands. It was anticipation, pure and simple. She actually looked forward to these sessions. Tom's gentle presence acted like a soothing salve on her raw edges. He possessed an insightful way of explaining things, offering wisdom that extended beyond canine behavior. His counsel felt like a well-loved, familiar melody offering comfort to her anxieties. Buster, let's go dazzle Mr. Baker, she announced, snapping the leash. A happy bark and a wagging tail served as Buster's enthusiastic reply. Later, sprawled on Chloe's absurdly plush purple rug, the confession tumbled out. I think I might be crushing on Tom. Chloe sputtered, spraying a mist of green tea. Tom? Next door Tom. The one who probably recalls the Pangea split. Maya grimaced. He's not that ancient, and you exaggerate. He's just decent. And unflappable. And he genuinely listens. Sweetheart, decency and patience are baseline human requirements. They're hardly grounds for romance. Chloe placed her mug down with a delicate clink. Look, not to be a killjoy, but you're barely out of your teens. He's pushing 60. 62, Maya mumbled, worrying a stray fiber on the rug. 62. Maya, that's practically grandparent territory. What common ground do you even share besides a furry, four-legged menace? We discuss art, Maya countered, a defensive edge to her voice. He understands art. He's seen masterpieces firsthand. He just gets things. And guys your age are incapable. Chloe arched a skeptical brow. Guys my age are masters of the keg stand and TikTok trends. Maya shot back, regretting the sharpness instantly. Okay, that was unfair. But still. Tom's different. He validates me. Chloe's expression softened, her hand finding Maya's. Listen, I understand. You feel unmoored, and he's offering stability. It's easy to misinterpret that kind of support. But Maya, tread carefully. He holds a position of influence, whether intended or not. And that age gap. It's a ravine. A colossal divide. Maya's sigh deflated her, the earlier flutter replaced by a heavy sensation. Chloe's blunt words echoed her own lurking fears. Was she simply transferring her longing for guidance onto Tom? Mistaking benevolence for something more profound? I don't know, she confessed, the fight draining from her voice. Being near him just simplifies things. Chloe enveloped her in a hug. I know, darling. But the simplest route isn't always the wisest. The dog show. You know, Tom began, giving Gus a friendly scratch behind his floppy ears, they're holding a dog show down at the park next month. Best in show might be a pipe dream, but they have a rescue dog category. And Gus certainly has a tale to tell. Maya chuckled, a mental image of Gus amidst a sea of pampered pooches flitting through her mind. Gus? Competing? He's still trying to make the mailman his afternoon snack. Tom laughed. Minor obstacle. Consider it. Motivation. Come on, it could be a blast. Plus, it'd give us something to aim for, wouldn't it? He gazed at her, eyes alight with anticipation. Maya hesitated, nibbling at her lip. The notion bordered on the absurd, yet the something to aim for struck a chord deep within her. It was becoming increasingly difficult to dismiss the pull Tom exerted. All right, she relented, the word surprising even herself. We'll do it. But if he decides to baptize the judge, I'm holding you accountable. The following evenings, after Maya's shift perfuming the bakery with the scent of warm bread, transformed into training sessions in Tom's backyard. Tom, displaying a surprising blend of firmness and forbearance, patiently guided Maya through the intricacies of hand signals and verbal commands. Gus, fueled by a steady stream of treats and Tom's soothing reassurances, proved a surprisingly diligent student. Maya, in turn, discovered a newfound assertiveness, her voice gaining strength as she commanded, "Sit and stay." An impromptu obstacle course arose, a low jump constructed from PVC piping, a weaving path cobbled together from weathered garden stakes, and a tunnel courtesy of a retired laundry hamper. Gus, possessed of seemingly inexhaustible energy, tackled each challenge with gusto, often diverting his attention to pursue fluttering butterflies or meticulously investigate a captivating aroma rising from the lawn. The air shimmered with laughter, laced with the heady fragrance of jasmine in full bloom. Maya discovered herself anticipating these shared moments far more eagerly than she cared to admit. Then, one sun-drenched afternoon as they practiced, heel, Patricia Jenkins, their neighborhood's resident curmudgeon, marched onto the periphery of Tom's yard, her features arranged in a disapproving scowl. Honestly, Tom, she began, her voice as abrasive as sandpaper. This infernal barking is simply unbearable. And now this obstacle course. This is not a sideshow, you realize. Her glare landed on Gus, who, in an unexpected display of charm, promptly sat and offered her his paw. Patricia recoiled as if stung. Keep that beast away from me. That creature needs restraint, and that noise needs to cease. Some of us are trying to relish a tranquil afternoon. Maya's hackles rose. He's training, Patricia. And he's actually excelling. He's entering a dog show. Patricia scoffed, an ugly sound. That mongrel. In a dog show. Don't be preposterous. He's a public nuisance. She gave a dismissive shake of her head, muttering something about irresponsible pet ownership, and retreated toward her house, the emphatic slam of her screen door punctuating her disapproval. The sting of Patricia's words flushed Maya's cheeks. She turned to Tom, expecting to see a flicker of annoyance, but instead, a knowing smile played on his lips. Don't let her prick your balloon, Maya. She's merely envious that Gus is having more fun than she is. He winked, adding, besides, we'll prove her wrong, won't we, Gus? Gus responded with an enthusiastic bark, his tail describing frantic arcs. Despite Patricia's bitter pronouncements, a surge of determination coursed through Maya. This had become more than just about Gus, it had evolved into a personal challenge, a chance to prove to herself that she was capable, that she wasn't as adrift as she sometimes felt. The competition loomed, ratcheting up the tension, but for the first time in what felt like an eternity, Maya sensed she was finally moving forward with direction. Lost and found. The whistle shrieked and Gus, mid-sit, bolted. One second he was obeying sort of, the next he was a furry brown missile aimed at the horizon. Maya's heart hammered against her ribs. Gus. No. Come back. Tom's face tightened. He's really spooked. Let's split up. I'll head towards Elm Street, you go towards the park. He loves the park. Panic clawed at Maya's throat. He's never done this before. She felt the sting of tears and swiped at her eyes, already running. The image of Gus, lost and alone, flashed in her mind. He'll be okay. He's a smart dog. Just call his name, keep your voice calm. Tom's hand brushed her shoulder for a brief, reassuring moment. Maya ran, her lungs burning, adrenaline pumping. Gus. Gus, come here, boy. She scanned the sidewalks, the manicured lawns, the spaces beneath parked cars. Each passing minute felt like an eternity. Doubt gnawed at her. Had she been pushing him too hard? Was she a terrible dog mom? She reached the park, her legs aching, her hope dwindling. The swing set creaked in the breeze, empty. A group of kids played a raucous game of tag, oblivious to her distress. She called Gus's name again, her voice cracking. A low whine answered her. She followed the sound, pushing through a thicket of bushes, and there he was. Gus, nestled under a sprawling oak tree, his body trembling. Relief washed over Maya, so potent it almost buckled her knees. She dropped to the ground, pulling him into a fierce hug. Oh, Gus, you scared me half to death. Tom appeared a moment later, his chest heaving. Heard you calling. Glad you found him. He knelt beside them, running a hand down Gus's back. What spooked him, do you think? I don't know. Maybe the whistle was too loud. Maya's voice was still shaky. She looked at Tom, really looked at him. The worry etched on his face, the genuine concern in his eyes. It was unexpected. He met her gaze, his expression softening. He's okay, Maya. That's all that matters. He paused, then added, almost hesitantly, you okay? She nodded, unable to speak past the lump in her throat. The fear had peeled away a layer of her usual guardedness. She felt exposed, vulnerable, and strangely close to him. I'm sorry, she finally managed, the words tumbling out. I'm not very good at this. At dog training. At anything, really. Tom chuckled softly. Hey, everyone feels lost sometimes. Even me. He looked out at the park, his expression thoughtful. It's about finding your way back, right? He stood up, offering her a hand. Maya took it, his grip warm and firm. As he helped her to her feet, she noticed the faint scent of wood shavings clinging to his clothes, a comforting, earthy aroma. Come on, he said, his voice gentle. Let's get this guy home. And maybe skip the whistle next time. They walked back in comfortable silence, Gus trotting happily between them, the near disaster fading into the background, replaced by a fragile sense of connection. The setting sun cast long shadows, painting the street in hues of orange and purple. For the first time since she'd moved here, Maya felt like she might actually be finding her place, lost dog and all. Show day. The air crackled with anticipation. Banners flapped in the breeze, proclaiming the annual Positive Pups Dog Show. Maya gripped Gus's leash a little too tightly, her knuckles white. Okay, buddy, she murmured, bending down to scratch behind his ears. Let's do this. Tom squeezed her shoulder reassuringly. He's ready, Maya. You both are. His smile was warm, and it eased the knot in her stomach a little. He was right, they had put in the work. Hours of training in the park, coaxing Gus through his paces with treats and praise. She glanced at Tom, his easy confidence a stark contrast to her own jittery nerves. The man was a marvel. The showground buzzed with activity. Poodles sported elaborate hairstyles, tiny chihuahuas trembled in sequined outfits, and Labrador retrievers strained at their leashes, eager to greet every dog and human in sight. Maya felt a pang of self-consciousness. Gus, with his scruffy coat and goofy grin, looked endearingly out of place among the primped and preened contestants. Their turn came sooner than she expected. The announcer's voice boomed, "Next up, Maya Rodriguez and Gus." Taking a deep breath, Maya led Gus into the ring. He trotted beside her, surprisingly calm amidst the noise and the crowd. Tom stood at the edge, giving her an encouraging nod. The first few commands were a blur. "Sit." Gus sat. "Stay." He stayed, tail wagging tentatively. Then came the trick Maya had worried about the most, the rollover. Gus had been particularly resistant to this one, often feigning deafness, or simply collapsing in a dramatic heap. She held her breath. "Gus, roll over." For a heart-stopping moment, nothing. Then, with a playful bark, Gus flopped onto his side and completed the rollover, his tongue lolling out. The crowd erupted in applause. Relief washed over Maya, so intense it made her knees weak. They finished the routine strong, Gus responding to each command with enthusiasm. As they took their final bow, the applause swelled, a wave of sound that warmed Maya to her core. Gus, sensing her pride, licked her hand. Backstage, Tom enveloped her in a hug. "You were fantastic." He was fantastic. "I knew you could do it." Maya laughed, a genuine, joyful sound. "We did it, Tom. We actually did it." The tension returned as the judges began announcing the winners. Third place went to a perfectly groomed golden retriever. Second place, a regal Afghan hound. Maya held her breath. And the winner of the Positive Pups Agility competition, Gus. The announcement was met with cheers and whistles. Maya stared in disbelief, then burst into laughter. She couldn't believe it. Gus, the rescue mutt with a penchant for chewing shoes, had won. As she accepted the blue ribbon, Gus wagged his tail furiously, basking in the attention. He licked her face and Maya knew, in that moment, that this was more than just a dog show. It was a testament to their bond, to their hard work, and to the unexpected connection she had found with Tom. A confession. Gus nailed it. He actually pulled it off. Maya, holding her breath, watched the judge secure a cerulean ribbon to Gus's collar. Third place in Best Trick, his signature head tilt beg combo had charmed the panel. A joyous shout escaped Maya as she clapped, her palms burning with the force of her exhilaration. Gus, blissfully unaware of canine competition's intricacies, thumped his tail against the ground, accepting a celebratory morsel from Tom. He was incredible. Maya exclaimed, pivoting towards Tom, her face aglow with pride. "Thank you. Truly, I couldn't have managed this without you." In a spontaneous rush of delight, she embraced him. A real embrace. Not a perfunctory pat, but a close, lingering hug that extended just a shade beyond what propriety dictated. The aroma of kindling smoke and a subtle tang of citrus permeated his flannel, an olfactory comfort she'd come to crave. She recoiled, suddenly self-conscious, her cheeks aflame. "Sorry," she stammered, backing away. "That was thoughtless." Tom's eyes, framed by smile lines, radiated a warmth that sent a flutter through her stomach. "Don't be," he murmured, his hand grazing her arm. "It's fine." But the atmosphere had subtly altered, thickened, charged with unspoken potential. Later, the awards ceremony concluded, Gus exhausted from his squirrel toy antics, Tom accompanied Maya back to her apartment. The late autumn air, crisp and redolent with decaying leaves, swirled around them. "Maya," Tom began, his voice laced with apprehension as they reached her doorstep. "Could we have a word?" She nodded, her pulse quickening. She unlocked the door, Gus dashed inside, immediately claiming his dog bed. Tom followed, settling gingerly on the edge of the well-worn armchair. "I've treasured our time together," he admitted, his gaze unwavering. "More than I should, perhaps." Maya swallowed, her throat tight. "Me too," she breathed, scarcely audible. I can't explain it, but I do. We share a connection," Tom elaborated, choosing his words with care. A genuine one. And I can't deny its existence. He paused, a furrow creasing his brow. But Maya, you're 19. My age is different. The starkness of his statement caused a wince, but she understood its necessity. 60, she finished quietly. 60, he confirmed. And I have no desire to complicate your journey. You're on the cusp of life, discovering yourself. I don't wish to become a diversion. But what if I welcome the distraction? Maya blurted, instantly regretting her lack of restraint. Tom sighed, raking a hand through thinning strands. This is not a simple equation, Maya. The consequences. She rose, pacing the confines of the small room. I know. The optics are unusual. My mother will disapprove. My friends will raise eyebrows. But I can't bring myself to care. Not presently, at least. There's a pull, Tom. Something undeniable. And I refuse to disregard it solely because it defies convention. Unexpected friendship. So Maya began, adjusting Gus's leash as the park emptied, the evening air turning crisp. Do we continue with the training? I mean, the dog training. A smile touched Tom's face, etching fine lines near his eyes. Unless Gus has been irrevocably deemed a hopeless case. Never, she said, a little too vehemently, coloring slightly. It's just. I don't want to complicate things. Tom chuckled, a low, warm sound. Complexity is subjective. But to ease your mind, we can keep it strictly professional. Dog training, period. Maya worried her lip. The starkness of that sounded lonely. No. I enjoy your company, Tom. Perhaps we could take things gradually. Gradual suits me, Tom replied, his grin widening. Very well. The following weeks unfolded into a comfortable routine. Tom patiently guided Maya, revealing the subtleties of canine communication. Their sessions bounced between the park, Maya's postage stamp backyard, and even a dog-friendly cafe. Gus a furry anchor beneath the table as they nursed tepid coffees and debated everything from squirrel deterrents in her potted plants to Tom's past life as a carpenter. One evening, Chloe discovered Maya deep in the throes of reorganizing her bookshelf, a task long relegated to the back burner. All right, Dish, Chloe demanded, flopping onto the futon. You've got a certain sparkle. Either it's an amazing new serum or... Tom. Maya sighed, gingerly extracting a battered Pride and Prejudice to dust its cover. It's involved. Involved like theoretical physics or involved like you're courting Methuselah? Chloe's voice held a note of alarm. Neither. Maya protested. We're not courting. Not exactly. We're just friends. Chloe scoffed. Friends who gaze at each other like they're decoding ancient hieroglyphs. Friends who spend more time together than you spend in the library. Maya, I adore you, but you're kidding yourself. He's teaching me about dogs, Chloe. And other things. About letting go of what everyone else thinks. Easy for him, he's had a lifetime of practice. You're 19. You should be out dating guys your age, hitting up parties, accumulating stories you'll cringe at later. Maya clutched the book. Maybe I'm ready for a different kind of cringe. And besides, she murmured, he listens. Truly listens. More so than anyone I've known. Later, as Gus's snores vibrated softly at the foot of her bed, Maya wrestled with Chloe's words. Was she being foolish? Was she inviting heartache? Perhaps. Yet, as the memory of Tom's smile flickered in her thoughts, a feeling of warmth blossomed within her. Whatever this was, it was authentic. And for the first time in a while, Maya felt precisely where she belonged, even if that place was delightfully, unexpectedly off course.